this is one of those dishes that it's all about using up all those bits and pieces inside your fridge. So I've got bits of celery, beetroot, butternut squash, whatever you have, carrots, even potatoes, whatever else. I'm just going to roast them all up together, and I'm going to pair them up with some chickpeas, which I'm going to also roast. And this is a really handy little one. You could do this in the air fryer just as easily. What I'm going to do with the chickpeas is just mix them with a little bit of oil, a little bit of coconut oil I'm going to use, and onto that I'm going to put a bit of smoked paprika, a little bit of seasoning, roast until they get a little bit crispy, and use them as to kind of just cover over my vegetables. So with the chickpeas, I've got a can of chickpeas. You could use ones that you've cooked yourself in water, but basically a little cooked chickpeas. Into them, I'm going to add about a tablespoon of smoked paprika and just a pinch of salt. Then I'm just going to give those a little bit of a mix up, just to kind of coat them all with that smoked paprika. Then I have about a tablespoon of coconut milk or coconut oil, which I have just melted. I'm just going to pour those over the chickpeas. And again, this will work perfectly in the air fryer if you want to make a little chickpea snack as well. Just make sure they're all coated with a little pinch of the oil, the paprika. And I'm just going to put those out onto a roasting tray. I cook them, kind of spread them out. So I basically give them a light roasting until they're just nice and kind of crisped up nicely. So I'm just going to pop those in the big oven. And then I'm going to just get my vegetables. And again with my vegetables, it's whatever you have. It's any kind of root veg. I had a pepper there, a bit of onion, a bit of butternut squash, celery, whatever. It doesn't really, don't get too caught up on it. I'm going to use a little bit of coconut oil again. I'm just going to put a generous teaspoon of coconut oil into my roasting pan. Just spread it out a little bit. Then at the same time, I'm just going to dump all my vegetables in. A little pinch of salt in there. And just kind of give them a little bit of stir up all your veggies. Just to just coat them all with a little bit of oil. Again, if you can get a little bit of fresh beetroot, I do think it is lovely in this. But again, don't get too worried about what you have and what you don't have. Just keep it all nice and simple. And then I'm just going to start those off, just let them fry for a second there, and then they're into the oven with chickpeas, and then we're going to make just a very simple dressing then. So, in the oven. And now I'm just going to make a very, very simple little dressing here with this. Whatever herbs you can get, kind of the Mediterranean style herb, parsley, coriander. If you can get a selection of them, great. If you only can get one or two, you know, say a bit of basil, or even just basil, parsley on its own, it'll be fine, it'll all work. You know, but obviously the more different herbs you get, the more complex your sauce is going to be. So avoid sages, rosemaries, they're a little bit on the strong side. But anyhow, into a liquidizer, 2 garlic, about 40 ml olive oil, about a generous tablespoon or even 2 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar. Again, you'll pick this up at any Oriental shops. It's very easy to get nowadays. And then also into that, my bunch of, again, I just went through the garden. What I've got here is some chives, some mint, oregano, marjoram, and a little bit of fennel. So I'm just going to break them up a little bit because the chives kind of stuck in the food processor a little bit, and just dump them all in there as well. I'm going to put about 2 tablespoons of water in there as well, just to give a little bit of liquid so there's something for the machine to catch. A little bit of pepper, and just a pinch of salt. And then we'll just blend that up. Until you get a nice, fresh, garlicky, herby dressing. So that's all it's to the dressing, and I'm just going to put that aside and then wait for everything else to be cooked, and then it's just a case of just putting this whole dish together. Very, very simple little dish, and again, very versatile, so it doesn't matter what ingredients you use. You know, what kind of root vegetables you're going to roast off, use what you have, use what you can get. This is just, as with any recipes, don't get too caught up in the details, and just to kind of enjoy the cookery. So after about 20 minutes of cooking, your chickpeas will start to get lovely and crunchy and just really nice, and they're about ready to go now. So what I'm going to do with these chickpeas is get my za'atar, and this you'll be able to get in the kind of Arabic style shops, the Asian shops, and it's a lovely kind of spice blend, just a little bit of peanut in it, and it's just really good with this kind of a dish. I'm also going to get my pumpkin seeds. I'm just going to mix those all over together. Now you could use this as a snack in itself, a little kind of nibble if you like. And when they're still a little bit warm, the za'atar will start to stick a little bit to the chickpeas, and then I'm just going to give those about another 3 minutes in the oven, just to kind of all infuse together, but no more than that. Also, while they're gone into the oven, I'm just going to briefly pull out my my vegetables, which are roasting away there. As you can see, they're all just coming together just nicely. You know, getting that nice infusion onto them. Like, again, doesn't need to be complicated at all. So when they're about half, 3/4 way cooked, I'm now going to get my sultanas and just pop those over the top. I didn't want to put them on too early because I don't want them to kind of get burnt. And I just find that I like using a little bit of fruit with dishes like this, because I think those little hits of sweetness are really, really pleasant when you're eating. So I'm just going to pop that into the oven now until it's cooked. So having spent literally about 3 minutes in the oven, there's my little pumpkin seeds, za'atar, smoked paprika and so on. Just going to give them a pinch of salt just to liven them up a little bit at this stage. And now I'm just going to decant those into a little bowl and wait for my vegetables to cook. But again, great little snack, this one as well. Nice little kind of a interesting, high protein kind of snack. So there you have it, the vegetables all nicely roasted. Again, your normal roast vegetables, you'll find again, putting in those little, the little sultanas, they just, I think they add an awful lot to this kind of a dish. Just giving that little pockets of sweetness, and then you have the savouriness of the nuts and the whole lot. So, vegetables all done, nothing to those really. They had taken me about 45 minutes in the oven thereabouts. I left the oven at the highest temperature it has. It might be about 250 degrees, so you don't have to hold back on that temperature. So anyhow, it's only a case of plating up this little dish now. So I'm just going to put my vegetables there on the side. All you need there is to get yourself a plate. You could put us all as a kind of a central dish as well, but I think this one is nice just plated individually. So get some vegetables there. Just pop them into the middle of your plate. And then what I've done is I've now decanted my little chickpeas with the pumpkin seeds and the za'atar, which gives a lovely interest. That brings a bit of protein into the dish, and the pumpkin seeds and so on, and also gives a little bit of texture as well. Because one problem that you sometimes see with some of these kind of anti-inflammatory type foods, and there's a lot of softness, and you know, you need a bit of texture in life as well. So I'm just going to sprinkle some of those chickpeas over. Let them just kind of fall around the place, for want of a better description. And then finally, that little dressing I made earlier with the garlic and the herbs, and that's emulsified into that's the great thing about the blender. You get a lovely emulsion, which is a nice kind of a neat sauce. And then I just kind of drizzle that all around the plate, just randomly over the dish, just all over the place really. You know, food that doesn't look too handled always looks more appetizing, in my view anyway. I think some of the kind of fancy restaurants and chefs, they put too much effort into handling their food, and because of that, it looks so beautiful that, you know, somebody's hands have been all over it. Not something I'm mad about. I'm going to just get a few little sprigs of herb that I just kept as surplus there, just to kind of put them. That's just a little bit of oregano, a bit of drizzle of olive oil, not really necessary because it's in the dressing anyway, and maybe just a pinch of black pepper. The seasoning is okay. A lot of people adjust the seasoning they go themselves. And there we have it, our nice little roasted chickpeas, roasted vegetables, a nice little green garlicky herby dressing. Very, very simple dish, which gives a nice balancing, and it's quite satisfying as well as a little vegan option.